So this video, this was a day ago. CNN did a video about Destiny.
I just got Kirk! Yeah, I just got escorted from Kirk, baby!
We're in Tampa, Florida for Turning Point USA's annual Student Action Summit. TPUSA is a voter-driving juggernaut for the Republican Party, led by 31-year-old Charlie Kirk.
They're happy, that's why you know they haven't been on social media.
But this year's event will be menaced by something called the
I thought he was older. I didn't know he was 31. I thought he was older.
Started by a group of progressive influencers and organizers, including the massively
There he is.
popular streamer Destiny.
This is the all roads lead to Rome thing, right? So he can do the exact same behavior you said that Biden couldn't get away with doing.
Well, Destiny.
They want to bring progressive debate to Kirk's doorstep. But
That's
first, they have to get in.
So Turning Point has cancelled all of UNF America's credentials, and now they're trying to sneak in Destiny so he can debate inside here.
Oh, uh-oh. They're trying to bring him in.
Alright, he's in.
He's wearing sunglasses so they can't see him.
So Destiny has made it inside the building, and we'll see how long he lasts.
There's a major streamer named Destiny,
is.
who's a Democratic liberal streamer. He appears to be debating Myron Gaines, who's more of a right-wing red pill guy. They're both sort of creepy.
Oh, God. Do you remember? I've never seen Myron happier than when those girls were discussing why Hitler did what he did to the Jews. I don't know if he's ever been happy. I've never seen him smile more.
Features of like internet trolldom, but it should be a lot of fun. You know, it's like blood sports. It's like watching a cockfight, effectively.
We love to see
It
it.
really is.
We love to see it. It's great.
We are at Student Action Summit. We got Destiny and Myron here today. Have a little friendly conversation.
Oh, yeah, man. Good to see you, bro.
Young people may be tuning out the news, but this new form of live, provocative political debate is blowing up online. Its cultural significance is something well known to Kirk because he's part of it.
Oh, it's democratic socialism. It's completely different.
I love this question.
And I
can talk about socialism for hours.
Hello, everyone. I am Charlie Kirk, founder of Turning Point USA, and I am surrounded by 20 woke college kids.
Wow.
Under a tent with the words, "Prove me wrong," Kirk brought online debater culture directly to hundreds of college campuses.
I do think this is a really good idea. I mean, like, the fact that he goes out and does this is a great content idea. I know Steven Crowder did something that's similar to this, too.
Last election cycle.
We have a problem in Black America. The biggest problem is not racism. It's the lack of dads. When exactly do heart waves begin in utero?
You know that, but you don't know the four.
Hold on, no, tell me when heartbeat.
I don't know.
And while he uses it to make viral content, its primary goal is to register Gen Z to vote MAGA.
Well, of course. I mean, obviously, I mean, like, I don't know if this is really an accusation. You know, are you truly accusing this guy of maybe using his political position to make people believe in his politics? I could see that. I could see that making sense.
The fact that we are now becoming we're becoming the cool kids now.
But no, I just want to be clear. Is there something wrong with talking to voters?
No, there's nothing wrong with talking.
Well, that's what we're doing here today. It's an open mic.
I think that you push a dangerous agenda.
Of course you do. People like this always use the word dangerous because they want to equate a conversation with violence. Because if they do that, they can justify being violent in a response to a conversation.
It's a strategy that those behind UNF America say the DNC has been absent to counter.
I hate Charlie Kirk. I think he's actually a Satan spawn, but he's very, very strategically minded.
At an event organized by the UNF America crew down the street from the convention center, both conservatives and liberals packed into a pub to eat chicken wings, drink beer, and watch conservative voices try to take on Destiny.
Have you ever fired an AR-15?
Yeah.
So you fired a 5.56. The mathematical odds of him surviving that are infinitesimally small.
They're infinitesimally high if it misses him, or grazes his ear. I mean,
Charlie Kirk's been doing this a long time, more than 10 years.
Oh, that's about Trump, about the fucking eye nut. That's the assassin.
Why has it taken the left so long to catch up and still hasn't caught up?
Republicans vertically are very well integrated when it comes to...
I think one of the big reasons why a lot of left-wing policies aren't popular online is because they're not popular in real life. if you're talking about like a lot of these edge case issues, stuff like no borders, the trans issues, stuff like that, it's because they're not popular, period. That's the reason why. I mean, if you interview and you poll people and you see what the numbers are, it very clearly indicates that this is a deeply unpopular position to have. It's imaginary thinking. Exactly, it is. And I think that also another big issue and the other big reason why they're not popular is because the people that are pushing them are generally very autocratic. And they're trying to push them and they demonize anybody else who doesn't think like they do. And I think that alienates people. It does in the long term.
Making sure that they're winning elections, right? There's the people who in 2020, they thought the election was stolen in every state, basically,
True.
But they still showed up to vote next time. So something is happening there where they're really big on going out and winning elections.
I mean, to be fair, people said that the 2016 election was rigged by Russia, and they still came back and they voted in record numbers for Biden. I think that ever since the 2016 election, every election has been fake. That's it. Every election is fake. Every election is rigged. People were saying that even the 2024 election was rigged. And what else can you do? Yeah, I know, right? But that's what I'm saying. They're still saying it. I'm just saying, right? That's the reason. I disagree with that. I don't think any of the elections were rigged, and I think that people are just coping with losing. That's what I think.
That shows at every single level to where when people are organizing or when people are creating alternative media networks, whether you're talking Tim Pool, influencing other ones like Joe Rogan, or trying to do things with college kids like Charlie Kirk. They're making these events and they're gathering all these different people. For Charlie Kirk, it's school kids, but the single focus is winning elections. It's incredible.
I think that's a good point. Obviously, like, they're definitely focused on the goal more than the left is. And this is kind of what I was discussing more yesterday about, maybe this is the day before, I don't remember exactly, about how I think a lot of left-wing thinking ends up Ouroboros cannibalizing itself. Because if you agree with like a leftist person on 9 out of 10 things, the one thing that you don't agree on will get them to call you a Nazi. And if you can agree with a conservative on 1 out of 10 things, they can still work with you on those 1 out of 10 things and not call you a fucking communist evil person. Now, obviously, there are extremes that do not really follow this, but I do think this is a general trend. This is definitely a general cultural trend that liberal thought is much more narrow than conservative thought right now. And the acceptance of different viewpoints, etc., is very, very narrow inside of like liberal and leftist spaces. And the endless Russian nesting doll of purity testing has caused them to lose a lot of elections. 2020 was indeed rigged. I don't want to talk about that. I literally don't even want to talk about it. I don't want to get into it. I don't want to argue it. I don't care. You think it's rigged? That's true. Go ahead. I think most people are actually more open to disagreement. I don't think it's helpful to say that if you don't agree 100%, then the opposite spectrum will help you. I do think that there's a trend, though. I do think absolutely there's a trend.
Incredibly important. And somehow I feel like on the left, I don't know how this happened online. Maybe it's because we tend to be younger or whatever, but somehow the party's messaging apparatus, it feels like it's kind of hijacked from people by people who won't vote for your candidates.
The reason why is because it's been hijacked by virtue signaling narcissistic liberals that are mentally ill. That's the reason why, is that it's being hijacked in the entire messaging campaign. Destiny doesn't realize this, and I think he does realize this, but I think that the reason why it's happened is because a lot of the people are there for these movements, not for the actual movement itself, but for how the movement makes them feel. So it doesn't really matter what the outcome is for them, because it's not about the outcome. It's about the way that they feel whenever they participate in the behavior. They view political opinions and different types of political messaging as social accessories. And because they're using political messaging and political activism as a social accessory, it doesn't matter to them whether that messaging is effective or not, because it's not about being effective. It's about being able to be seen as a person who has these viewpoints. And that's what happens.
I think is incredibly destructive.
It's massively destructive, by the way. It completely is destructive. I think a great example for this is think about how many super like hardcore pro-Palestine people refused to vote for Kamala Harris, even though she aligned with them on more issues. Like whenever you take these like extreme viewpoints And like, you know, she condemned Hamas or something like that. That's true. Yeah, it was not good. Who cares about left or right? Just go for common sense. Well, I'm talking about like a general trend, right? Kamala was booed when discussing Hamas. Exactly. And that's because it's been taken over. Any of the people that are booing Kamala Harris for, you know, talking about Hamas negatively, if they were under the control of Hamas, their life would be a living hell. But they're not, and so they get to live in a comfortable, air-conditioned home where they can order DoorDash, and they live in a gated community, and, you know, the police come if you call the police if you hear a weird noise at night. These people never have to live with the consequences of their own performative empathy. And so instead of that, they have no problem virtue signaling about how good these freedom fighters are on the other side of the world that starve people, that kill their own people, that are oppressive religious fanatics. They don't have to worry about that because it'll never happen to them. And that's what I was really saying before about how it's not about winning. It's about sending a message. And the message isn't that you like Hamas. It's that you're a good person on the right side of history. And that's what matters the most.
And I will say, like, Charlie Kirk is honestly one of the best organizers of our generation.
Yeah.
And I think that,
he does a good
you know,
job.
as much as
It's
I
true.
disagree with Charlie Kirk, I believe that what he's doing has worked. And that's why I'm here to replicate what he's doing.
This is smart, and I think Democrats are smart to adapt this. If you can't recognize the advantages and the strengths in your opponents, you will never be able to overcome them or defeat them ever.
Disrupt Charlie Kirk's events. I'm here to say that there are alternative ideas and that we need to build the same thing that he has, because he is good at it.
Yeah.
Z. Cohen Sanchez has worked more than a decade on Democratic campaigns.
Yeah, good for
There's no reason why we can't do this. This is not very expensive to do. We have so many PACs on the Democratic side raising millions of dollars.
The
right?
reason why you can't do it is you have too many Russian nesting dolls of purity tests. There are too many drink the Kool-Aid things that you have to believe that alienate average voters, like the Hamas support, like the trans, like athletes support, especially trans kids support. You need to cut that out of the Democratic Party. If you want to win elections, you have to remove that from your vocabulary. Like, right-wing people for a very long time were against marijuana. Like, even legal, not illegal, even medical marijuana, they were against it. And it was a losing proposition. I would say Trump was probably the first candidate that didn't really run on marijuana being this evil, bad, devil's lettuce type thing. I still am, but much less so, right? Like that, the amount of it that was happening in like 2005 versus when Donald Trump first ran as president, it's like a mountain versus a molehill. It's not even remotely close. It was 1/10 of what it was. Abortion, yeah, abortion's another example, right? And so I think that right-wing politics has done a very good job at trying to remove the super divisive issues that their radical groups try to push. And they've still stuck with like base messaging that resonates with enough people. But I think Democrats have been so infested with like this hyper extremism and hyper radicalism that, again, only exists for the nature of it existing. It's not actually things that people like that even believe in. It's just what they say they believe in so they can feel good.
We are not a big PAC. We haven't even raised $1 million yet. And we're able to get all of these creators essentially anywhere that Charlie is. And so that's what we really want the Democratic Party to do, is we want to have them to start investing in these movements.
Is the DNC supporting this?
They should be. They should be supporting it. If they want to win, they should be supporting it, absolutely.
No,
they're retarded.
not currently.
And the reason why the DNC isn't supporting it is because the DNC, in my opinion, this is going to sound very crazy, but I think that after Occupy Wall Street, I think the Democratic Party I think that the elites and the people in control were terrified of what happened after Occupy Wall Street, and they falsely poisoned-pilled the entire liberal, leftist, left-wing movement with identity politics. They poisoned the entire thing. And the Democratic Party, in my opinion, this sounds crazy, but I think that they are engineered to lose. They are engineered to lose, and it's working as intended. Because the people that are at the top that are making these decisions, and again, if they win, great, but if they lose, it doesn't matter. Because basically what they're doing is they're sabotaging a group of people that if they get into power and they don't have this other identity politics noise going on, they could actually turn their sights at these corporations and at this financial political elite ruling class. So I think that they've used identity politics to poison pill leftist politics. And that's the reason why you don't have conversations about, like, why are all these illegal aliens being exploited inside of these factories to begin with? Why is this even a noble pursuit that's worth protecting at all? What kind of self-respecting leftist person that's a communist would think that it's a good thing that you have a bunch of these people working that have no control, no ownership of the production, and nothing? Like, you would assume that, like, this is absolutely not a good thing. But you have them going lockstep with it because they have been poison pilled. That's what's happened.
If Ken Martin's watching this, text me back. But really, I mean, I think it's disappointing that we haven't been able to see the DNC really get off the ground since the election, because I think a lot of things have happened internally that have been distractions to the actual ground game that we need right now.
No, our motto is, when they go low, we go high.
For Destiny,
they don't care. They don't give a shit.
It's a ground game that must reflect the online culture he and millions of young Americans are part of, one that is often characterized by un-PC language.
Why it's okay to use the word retard. I'm going to tell you something, that if you want young men to vote for you, policing their language is the way to lose. Young men use all kinds of slurs constantly around each other. They still use the F word. They still use the N word. They do it constantly. And the R word isn't the R word, it's retard. Young men are crass, aggressive, I think, you know, like kind of brusque. Like they're assholes. And yeah, they're clankers, exactly. Bathroom talk, yeah, exactly. And that's the way that men talk. And so when you have a bunch of Karens sitting around virtue signaling about how bad saying retard is, I'm sorry, but you're not going to win the votes of the young men. And this starts at about age, I would say for boys, like 8 or 9. And from like 8 or 9 to like 50. That's the way guys are.
Insults and crude humor. This tweet Destiny sent poking conservatives by saying the kids who died in the Texas floods were proof that God doesn't exist.
The tweets you sent about the kids in Texas would probably disqualify you, or would probably have somebody in the upper levels of the Democratic Party say, okay, we'll never work with this guy again.
Yeah.
Do you regret sending those tweets?
I think they have to get over it. I don't regret them. I love poking the bear on the right. I feel like Republicans are so good at owning the space. Republicans do this thing where they say, you know,
I'm not going to get into it a lot, but I do think that, like, making comments like that at the expense of the victims generally isn't a good way to garner sympathy. And if you're being pragmatic and you want to win elections, like Destiny was just criticizing the Democratic Party for, is making fun of the little girls that died in the Texas flood going to move you closer to or farther away from winning elections? In my opinion, I think it moves you farther away from it. So while you criticize and complain about the Democratic Party not trying to win elections, I think that this language and this type of, you know, like behavior is just simply not, it's not beneficial. It's just not. And I don't think you can compare it, by the way, with illegal aliens being deported, because I'm sure somebody will make that comparison. Illegal aliens broke the law. They're adults. They broke the law. They're getting deported. That's the way it is. So whenever you're holding an adult accountable for their own actions, that's very different than, you know, like watching and saying that it's a good thing that a child died. You see what I'm saying? Like, these are very, very different things.
He's legal again, and we can joke about anything. But when they say anything, they really just mean like immigrants and black people, right? Because if you make fun of anything on their side, they lose their minds.
I don't think that's true. And I think that if you just look at the way that Charlie Kirk, for example, if you want to use him for an example, he thought the jokes about him that were made on South Park were funny. And he even changed his profile picture to like whatever the character was. It was at Cartman. So, like, I don't really even think this is true. I think that in some cases it's true. And he's right that people are fragile in cases where, like, they could look bad, but they're not in cases where they wouldn't be. Like Vance, too. Yeah, the J.D. Vance memes as well. But I think that, like, there's elements of truth in this, but it's not big.
One of the things that conservatives stumbled into accidentally, because I think Donald Trump's an idiot, even politically, but they stumbled into this thing where people started to get confused because of what the right and left looked like. And I think they think that you need an extreme.
I think that if you think that Donald Trump is an idiot, I think that you need to reevaluate your analysis of intelligence. Because intelligence isn't just simply the ability for a person to do math or be able to read something and remember what they read. At the end of the day, I view intelligence primarily as the ability to create outcomes that are beneficial for yourself. If you think that you're really smart, but you constantly can't create outcomes that are beneficial for you, I don't think you're actually that smart.
Platform in order to win elections. But what you really need, I think, is just extremist messaging. I think that's what you need.
Back inside, the packed event giving the Unf America organizers hope there will be appetite for similar debates on college campuses this fall.
I do 100 hours of this a semester. 100 hours. In addition to 2 hours of podcasting radio. I mean, the physical crowds are now 3,000-4,000 people almost every time.
It's a lot of people.
And so the plan for this semester is Charlie Kirk shows up at campuses all across the country, and you guys are going to be there too.
But that's the goal. If we can raise some
smart. That's smart. That's a good idea.
Enough money to get there, we absolutely will. People wonder why the youth vote shifted to the right.
Yeah,
and that's a big reason why. He's put the footwork in and we haven't.
I think that this is definitely a very good thing that Democrats are realizing this. And also, people are surprised. This is a really good video by CNN. Yeah, they're discussing it in a genuine way. And I think that really what they've realized is that CNN, and I think that a lot of the Democrat establishment has realized that they disenfranchised and they deplatformed so many people that those people now are so large that they can create their own platforms, like what Charlie Kirk has done. And so they can no longer rely on just simply removing people's access to discussion. And so now that they have to come to the table, they have to come, there's a big come to Jesus moment here, right? Where like, hey, maybe what we're doing isn't working. And that's clearly what's happened.